Would you care for God if given the opportunity? The scientific truth about God. Reimagining the divine as truth, connection, and a sacred responsibility. If given the chance, would you care for God, not in ritual, but in reality? This question forces us to shift the lens through which we view the divine. What if God isn't a distant being, but the living thread of truth, love, and consciousness woven into everything? Caring for God, then, becomes an act of reciprocal liberation, a choice to live in alignment with truth rather than doctrine. God as a mirror of our values. When we strip away myth and personification, God becomes a reflection of the values we uphold. If God is the source of life, the interconnection between all things, then caring for God means honoring life itself. It is expressed in how we treat the planet, choosing not to desecrate nature but to protect it as sacred ground. It is found in our relationships, seeing the divine in others and refusing to poison that sacredness with hatred or neglect. Even self-care becomes an act of reverence. If the divine resides within, then neglecting our health, dignity, or well-being becomes a subtle form of sacrilege. Caring for God is not something done on a Sunday. It's done in how you eat, how you rest, how you treat your body and your thoughts. God as child, parent, and planet. When we imagine God as a child, we are asked to protect innocence, potential, and truth in its most vulnerable form. To harm is to corrupt the future. When we imagine God as a parent, we are reminded to honor wisdom, love, and the roots that gave us life. To reject that is to live in arrogance and entitlement. And when we see God as nature, as mountains, forests, and oceans, then every oil spill, every wildfire caused by greed, every extinct species is a betrayal of divine trust. These metaphors are not poetic abstractions. They are practical indictments of how far we've drifted from sacred responsibility. The power of lived divinity. If God is a product of human imagination, a projection of our yearning for meaning, then caring for God is caring for our highest potential. Acts of kindness, moments of courage, the pursuit of healing, these become more than moral choices. They become sacred rituals. If God is truth, unchanging, unflinching, and often uncomfortable, then caring for God means facing reality, even when it contradicts our beliefs. In this sense, spiritual growth is not found in blind devotion, but in clarity, humility, and the ability to live with eyes wide open. Every day gives us that opportunity. What we eat, how we speak, the thoughts we hold. Every decision either builds a temple to truth or tears one down. In that space between pain and healing, we meet God, not as fantasy, but as raw, luminous presence. God is not a judge. God is the relationship. Too often we view God as an external judge, detached and conditional. But in truth, God may be nothing more than the state of our relationship with the world, with others, and with ourselves. Whether metaphor or mystery, the call is the same. Live with integrity. Live with love. Live like everything matters, because it does. This vision of the divine isn't built on ancient scripts or inherited myths. It is born in the present moment, through experience and embodiment. It asks us to let go of inherited fear and embrace radical responsibility. God is each other. Perhaps the clearest vision of the divine is not in the sky, but in the face of another, in the tears of someone who feels seen, in the laughter shared between friends, in the moment you lift someone from despair. Ubuntu says, "I am because we are." Jewish mysticism teaches, God dwells where we let him in. Even atheists like Camus argued that solidarity is the highest moral calling. These insights all lead to the same truth. The closest we ever get to God is in the way we show up for one another. When truth sets you free. God is not a man in the clouds. God is the choice to speak truth when it's hard. The act of courage when fear says, stay small. The refusal to participate in cruelty. God is in every moment we decide to live awake instead of asleep. When we stop lying, when we stop running, when we stop pretending, that is the moment we step into sacredness. Not because a religion said so, but because truth is the only force that doesn't require belief to exist. It just is, and it's waiting for us to care enough to live by it. This is who I am, and I will live it. A quote from the legendary Stevie Wonder. It's not about the religion, it's about the relationship. Seek truth, even when it hurts. Every confrontation with reality is communion with God.